How's it going, guys? We're here to check out everything that is in today's awesome update to Rust. Now, this month has mostly been background work on the HDRP, which, to let you guys know what that is, if you don't know what it is a new system they're trying to create the game in, and it would be a graphics overhaul, which would not only catch the game up to today's standards and make it look very beautiful, like some of the screenshots you're seeing here in the background, but it would also, the end goal is to have the game run smoother for less by using this system. That means this is an attempt to do a huge optimization while updating the game. So that is something the team has been working on very hard. It's going to take some time, but they've of course been doing other little optimizations in between whenever they can. But that is kind of the big one that's coming. Their goal for it is to get it in by December if they can. Right now they're saying that with the, as far as they've got it implemented so far, it is not running as good as the current version of Rust. But they still have several months to work on it. So honestly, I think the team will get it down on lock, no problem. So that is what's kind of going on with the HDRP. So there's been pretty much mostly balance changes. We've got a couple of new things, and it's been kind of a good month. So there's besides that all going in the background, there's also an instrument DLC in the works. And that's right, you heard me, I said DLC as in paid DLC. There's no price point mentioned yet. It's just all of these extra instruments will be a paid DLC. It's something the team is trying out. And it's, you know, it's purely for fun. It's on the side. It's no different from really cosmetics or anything. Now, the new musical system they're putting in, if you didn't know about that, it's basically they're going to make it to where you can actually play music properly with the instruments. And that was, you know, previously only the guitar, and you control it by going like up, down, and left, right. It was just really funky and weird. And the bass guitar, as far as I know, and not bass as in a bass guitar, but bass as in basic. So the original guitar, let's go ahead and say that instead, will stay as free. Anyone that has it will be able to use it. And the new instruments, you're going to have to buy them to make them. I don't know if you're going to, you know, how raiding, stealing, or sharing with friends is going to work. They're not talking about that yet because they just don't have that available, or they haven't made their full decisions, and the instruments and the system isn't done yet. Again, the whole instrument system is going to be part of a free update. The additional instruments, such as the tambourine, piano, stuff like that, are going to be paid DLC in a package, okay? So yeah, there's that. It's very interesting. A lot of people are already crying about it, but we'll just have to see how it is. Speaking of stuff, we have double armored door and sheet metal and wood door all skinnable now. Now, of course, no skins have been put into the game yet, so I can't show you those. But yeah, they are skinnable. You'll notice the models change a little bit. Some of them look a little kind of funky. I think the team is working on fixing that or looking into it. But yeah, the one cool thing that is amazing about the double armored doors, or double doors I should just say in general, is that all four doors can look different. That's something that's unique. It's not just a mirror image, and it's one of the reasons it took so long for them to get in, as well as the fact that the doors work differently from the single door. That's why you can't just apply your single door skin. There's a lot of technicalities to it. If you really want to go into it, I'm sure you can ask a skinner. They will explain it to you. So yeah, there's that. So there's been a cool couple of updates to the map. As a team leader now, you can actually leave waypoints. So I can be like, oh guys, you know, base is here. And it's just a right click on the map. While you have the map open, to get rid of it again, you just right click it again. You can have multiple markers. So you can go ahead and get like a marker from, you know, a different person in the team. I guess. I think, as far as I know, it should pop up as a different color. I can't prove it right now because obviously I'm on the server by myself. And then you'll see the last place you died shows up on the map. Now keep in mind it's a point, so it's actually right here, not the big skull part. And also, if you die on a hill or something, your body rolls down the hill. It's going to show where you died, not where your body landed. So if somehow your body moves or rolls away from where you were, you might have to look in the vicinity. So it's more of a vicinity marker than an exact, your corpse is right here kind of thing. You know what I mean? Now you'll also notice you can see the waypoint on the compass. So if you look up here at 240, boom, there's my waypoint. Very cool. I love this addition, and it's going to be a nice thing for kind of coordinating with teams. Now, in addition to that, there's also been some changes with the way sleeping bags show up. So we're going to go ahead and leave God mode here, and we're going to do F1 kill. So now it says dead. You're alive for 33 minutes, killed by myself. This should be more accurate with what weapon and who and so forth, which is really nice. As you can see, the profile pops up, so that's a little bit more convenient to see if you need to report a cheater. And then your bags will show up as a list down here, or wherever they are on the map. So check that out. Isn't that cool? I really like this. I think it's a great addition to the game. So let's see, we'll go ahead and spawn unnamed bag, boom. And if there's ones that overlap each other, they'll actually cluster up. Now, that's an issue with the stores. A lot of people have noticed or complained for a while, like at Outpost, you gotta do this funky thing just to be able to see both stores because they overlap. What they did, the sleeping bags should eventually be applied to the store markers as well. So that'll be for player vendors as well as, you know, in Outpost and Bandit Town. Next up, there has been some weapon balancing done. The M92 has been one of those guns that's just a little too speedy, so Hulk decided it does need a bit of a tone down. Honestly though, it is still a beast. He pretty much can fire it as fast as you can play it. So even though it has been slowed down, it doesn't really seem like it, but the fire rate is now 400. The Spaz has seen a little bit of love as well. It now has a fire rate of 240, but its range drops off at about 50 meters for slugs, but slugs are way more powerful, so that is actually, you know, kind of a trade-off. It just honestly depends what you decide to do. The Spaz is also a little bit faster, like I said, so you can see there, it's a little bit of a difference. I think it's enough that it's quite helpful. And then the M39 has seen a buff to it as well. The main being that it is now switched its place with the L96. So that's actually quite cool. So if you'll go ahead and look at Bandit Town, and we get right here, it now has a M39 for 400 scrap instead of the L96. You can still pick up your 16 times scope, but yep, you're gonna have to get the L96 in crates. So good luck on that one there. I think it's a good balance, and I think it's something that needs to be done. The sniper is just a little bit too powerful, and the M39 honestly just wasn't being used. So that is a good little change there. There has been a little bit of an additional buff to the L96 since it is only findable now. The Bradley has a higher chance of it in there, as well as the Bradley has had its loot tables changed. But we'll get back to that in a little bit. So speaking of the Bradley actually as well, HV rockets now do a ton more damage to it. So we will actually be checking that out and then a little bit later. So that's why we got the rocket launcher there. There was no actual changes to the rocket launcher itself. So horsies, let's get to horsies. Not only do they now have wooden and road sign armor, which the models look absolutely amazing. Look at that. But they also have equipment slots. So you can now examine a horse. It's going to tell you the breed of the horse, its health, its maximum speed, and stamina. And the horses also have additional equipment now. There are saddlebags and horseshoes. So on here we've got a basic horseshoe. It's a default blueprint, so we can just go in and take a look-see at all the horse stuff. So you'll see right here the basic horseshoe. It's 50 metal fragments. Then there's the high quality horseshoe, which you can buy at Outpost and then learn for 500 scrap, and it'll cost you 15 high qual. You've got the saddlebag, which is a default BP. It's going to cost you 20 leather. You've got the wooden horse armor, which is a default BP. It'll cost you 2 rope and 600 wood. And the road sign coming to 5 road signs and 3 sewing kits when it must be found and researched. So, if we go over to the research bench here, you're going to see, like I said, 500 for the high qual horseshoe and 500 for the armor. So that's going to be how that works there. But as you're looking here, we'll go ahead and take everything out and we'll show kind of how the equipment works. So you'll notice that by default, the horse only has its own 4 equipment slots. And you can see its max speed right now is 43. Ooh, we grabbed the wrong thing. Now it goes up to 48, but you'll see that when adding the armor is now dropped to 37. So it takes away 10 from your max speed here. But the wooden armor adds 6 storage slots, which is cool. The storage, you can put pretty much anything into it. But you can add additional 6 for each saddlebag, adding up to 2 for an additional 12 slots. So that's pretty cool. But you'll see when I take the bags on and off, they do add weight to the horse. Minus almost 4 pounds, or, you know, whatever. They slow them down as well, I believe. Yes, yeah. So, going to this guy here, you'll see that the road sign armor doesn't provide any storage, and it takes quite a bit of speed. We're going from 52 to 30, and it has that minus 21. But you'll see that it protects the horse by 50 and the rider by 40. So the rider, that's kind of interesting, right? Well, the reason for that is people on horses felt more like sitting ducks, and so Helkin team figured that giving a little bit of protection to the rider when on a horse will make him a little bit more formidable and make people less scared to use them. Because if you're just kind of a sitting duck on a horse, it's kind of lame, you know? So it's more one of those things that's for gameplay and not realistic, you know? And of course, whoops, I want to also show on this guy here. Oh, no. What are we doing? Going crazy. 25%, 20 protection on the rider. So there you go. That's the stats on that one. So also I wanted to mention the handmade site is now a default blueprint. So that's a nice little addition. Just, again, you know, some quality of life changes. In addition to that, ammo now has stats. They said it's not fully done, but you can see what the velocity, where the bullet starts to have its drop off, fall off, and how much damage it, you know, does. So definitely a cool little thing to see. Love that. And of course you got the lethality, fuse length, blast radius, and all that for explosives, which I think is quite nice. So we have a new electrical component, the Tesla trap, or Tesla trap, I can't talk. It's one of those things, growing up bilingual, it's one of those words that just murders me. But in addition to that, you'll notice there is now an electrical section. So instead of all the electrical stuff being jammed into the, you know, other section, it now has a specific electrical section. And if you go in as an admin, there's also no electrical up here in the F1 menu, and you can see these are all the things that pop up in there. So this little guy here can do anything from tickle your offline raiders into slowing them down, or full on fry him in an electric chair. It just depends how much power goes to it. So if you get about 10 power to the sucker, it's going to greatly slow down your enemies. If you let it have free reign, like just straight up hook up a generator to it or something, it's gonna do some damage. So we're gonna go to the generator here. Another thing I'm gonna mention, it now says properly fuel storage on this guy, as well as the flame turret. Again, a small little change, but you know, it's one of those UI fixes. So we're gonna turn this on, and boom, you can see it nuked those nakeds pretty quickly. This thing is really cool, and I can't wait to see what people do with it. Do note that as it runs, it slowly loses its durability. So you want to make sure that it's something that's triggered for, you know, a second, it's on a timer, or so forth. You don't want to just flip on and stay on. That's going to kill it pretty quickly. So definitely can't wait to see what people do with this. There's already been some cool stuff people have messed around with on staging, so I'm very excited to see different trap bases and designs that come from this one. Next up, we've got some UI changes. Again, very nice quality of life stuff. So let's go ahead and open up our inventory. You'll now notice that you can actually rotate and check out your player. So if you got some sweet skins and you want to look at them yourself, you can just admire them here. If for some reason you get your guy stuck, you don't like it, you can just exit out and they'll reset to the default position. You can also give them a nice little spin if you like. So that's just kind of a neat little thing to look at that. But the main things we want to talk about here is the quick craft and favorites. So you'll notice you can now do a star. Once you star something, it becomes a favorite. You can then again unstar it and it will leave from your favorites. That is a neat little thing. So you'll notice that up here we've got favorites. I've got horse armor favorited. I don't want it up there. Boom, there it goes away. You know, let's say I want to do that guy, the snowman, some Christmas lights, and a sign. Boom, favorites. Really nice. I definitely like it. It's a great addition. Let's actually get a little bit of wood here, and we're gonna start up crafting a sign. You can now right click to cancel them, and I'm doing it in the wrong area. So let's see. Boom, you can now right click here and it cancels it. So there's a little bit of delay, don't worry, but boom, right click, cancel. You can also middle click and it'll craft 5 at a time if it can. So that's a really cool little addition as well. It's, you know, again, not something that had to be done, but is something that's really cool. So if we go away into our menu here real quick, I want to show you the screen settings. You can now go ahead and change a few more things. You've got an FPS limiter, as well as you can go from full screen, window, or exclusive mode up here, which is a blessing. But what I wanted to show you is if we go to controls, there's now a binding to drop items from your inventory. So instead of having to drag, you can just hover over it and hit a button. I think that's a very nice thing. But by default, it is set to not having a keybind. They did this so people that are new to the game don't accidentally drop stuff. So you have to go in and set the keybind yourself. You can set up a specific keybind to drop a single item and a keybind to hit a whole stack. So I'm gonna go ahead and do 0 because I don't, or sorry, O, because it's not used for anything, and a few other games I play use that, Ark and a few others. And let's see, O, and I don't think P is used for anything, so let's just do that. They're right next to each other, right? All right, we're back. I originally had P bound to my free cam, so there we go. So as you'll see, we can individually drop items, boom, 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 or bam, whole stack. So that is a really nice little addition. Another thing is there's some changes to splitting stacks. So middle mouse has always been half. Well, now you can shift middle mouse to split it into thirds. Split off thirds. So that's actually a really nice addition for those of you who have the furnace OCD. And I think it's just a nice little thing. You can also directly click, right click. Sorry, that's what it is. Okay, so right click on it and you can adjust the exact amount. So, you know, we can do 999 or whatever, which I think is a nice little change. And, you know, all of this has just been one of those nice things. Again, quality of life. It's not something we have to have, but it is something that just makes it so much nicer, you know? So I think that's a nice little change there. And then I think we can do middle or shift click on the bar. So yeah, if you middle click, yeah, it goes to 500, and if you middle shift click, it goes to third. So you can also do that. So you don't have to click on the item, you can also click on the actual bar itself, which is nice. So, I mean, all these little UI changes are definitely something I've been really happy for. So another thing is you also get a repair message now. So if something gets recently damaged, like that, it's gonna say unable to repair recently damaged, and it gives you a little countdown. So I think that's a nice thing. It'll also say you don't have the right resources or something like that. if that happens to be whatever, you know, the situation that directly correlates to it may be. So I think that's a nice little addition to it as well. Again, these are all just little bonuses fixed. They fixed a couple other things. You can't drag or throw items while you're wounded. You can't combine things that have different health. So a lot of times if you had a fully healed ladder and a partially broken one, you could drop one over the other and they'd both become the same health. That's not a little trick you can do anymore, so no more free repairs. And yeah, so that's actually a nice little couple extra fixes there. As an admin, they've added a few other things, like you're no longer affected by hunger, thirst when you're in God mode, as well as radiation damage and status effects don't hit you, so you don't have to worry about flying around in a rad suit or something. And yeah, that way, if you're on one of those servers where you have, you know, no spawning in of anything at all, it's nice because, you know, you don't have to even spawn in a hazmat suit for yourself as an admin or food or anything like that. So I think that's really nice. They've also added a couple commands, which you can check out on the dev blog, which I'll have linked down below as always. That can just add a couple little extra things to your admin life, as well as a few adjustments to the cinematography options in the game for you YouTubers out there. So that is a nice little change there. They also knocked out a few exploits with a few things like disarming landmines from a distance, underwater free loot crates, and interactions with the excavator from any distance. So those are some kind of weird ones. It's good to see they knocked that kind of really weird stuff out. So that is a nice little addition there. Additionally, the excavator has seen some buffs. It wasn't getting as much use as the team thought it would, so of course they said they would buff it if that's the case, and they have. We're being shot at. It has gone from 3,000 stone to 5,000 stone. It's gone from a 500 sulfur to 750, which is 250 more, and from 1,500 metal to 2,000 metal, which is 500 more. So that is a nice little additional buff to this guy right there. Additionally, we have the nerf to the oil rigs. We all know it had to happen eventually, and it has. There's no longer a recycler on either of the oil rigs. It was just too OP to let people sit there and collect for, you know, hours over and over and over and over and over. And I'm gonna make sure I'm in God mode because that would be really stupid if we died. But yeah, so it's just one of those things. It hurts smaller groups because, I mean, everything's going to. There's nothing you can really do about that. But now at least the big groups can't sit here and camp it forever. They're gonna have to leave and fly or boat to a recycler of some sort. So that's a nice little thing there. But additionally, to balance it, the puzzles have finally been finished on the oil rigs. And all of the good loot is actually locked up now. You cannot get to any of the leak crates without doing the puzzles. I'll be, of course, showing you guys. Let's get away from that. I'll be updating my tutorial videos by putting out new ones to show you how the new puzzles, of course, work on the rigs. As I mentioned earlier, we come back to the Bradley. So the Bradley, you'll now see, has an additional gun activated at the top. This means it has the ability to shoot 2 targets at once. Now, the side guns have not been activated yet, so it's not quite fully with its arsenal, as well as I think this thing also has another missile thing of some sort. So yeah, I mean, this thing still has a bit more of an arsenal on it. Now, HV rockets do a lot more damage to it now, since they're more of an anti-vehicle kind of thing. You'll see that it took, you know, quite a bit there. Now it takes about 6 HV rockets rather than well over 20 to go ahead and take out the Bradley. Another big issue with the Bradley was that this sucker would sometimes spawn its boxes under the world. It was an error, and that is something that has now been fixed. So you should no longer be cheated out of one or more of your loot crates with the Bradley. As I said earlier, the L96 has a higher chance of spawning in the Bradley now that it's no longer purchasable. And the loot table in general has been buffed on the Bradley itself. I don't have exact numbers of stuff. That's going to take some testing, so I'm going to leave that up to like Rust Labs and so forth. But yes, as you can see, they're all right there. All 3 accounted for. But yeah, it's been decently buffed, guys, so explore that, check it out. It's definitely a nice little update to the Bradley. Alright guys, well that pretty much does it. If you haven't noticed, Rust has an Instagram. The HDRP pictures I showed you earlier have been peeled from that, as well as some of the instrument stuff and other things, but there's been some cool stuff posted to it. If you haven't seen it, like this image from the modular weapon system, it's still, their prototype weapon system is still something they would like to see done. These images don't necessarily mean that, you know, what's being shown is going to be happening right now or then. They aren't currently working on the prototype system, but as you can see, it has been concept arted, so that's actually a really cool thing there. In addition to that, we've got some mysterious things that pop up, like whatever this is. I'm not sure if it's a ghost costume for Halloween in the upcoming weeks, or if it's the start to maybe a ghillie suit. As cool as the ghost thing would be, I'm really hoping it's a ghillie suit. Oh man, I would love to have a ghillie suit in this game. It would be so cool. So, we'll just have to see what that ends up being whenever it ends up happening. And Gary has stated just because they post it to Instagram doesn't mean it's going to be something that will happen or, you know, is something that will be. It could be old, it could be new, it could be just a concept floating around. So keep that in mind when looking at these things. Speaking of something else from the Instagram, cars. Cars are still being worked on very hard by the team. Their goal is to try to get them in with the December update alongside HDRP. So I think we can be pretty excited about December. There's probably going to be Christmas skin contests, probably some kind of Christmas content, HDRP, and possibly cars. I mean, whew, wow. That's a lot of stuff. So, and who knows whatever else. So, but yeah, car lift! Isn't this cool? I just love this video. I'm gonna leave you guys ending on this one. Thanks for watching. We will see you later for whenever the skins post, and you have a good one.